former Masudi, and then I'm getting to interview. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. The reason that I wanted to do this YouTube channel was basically because I feel like there's definitely not all the opportunities we would like in the classroom to talk about certain things that students want to talk about or discuss. Either it's topics that are mentioned and then they don't get to dive into deeper, or it's topics that don't get addressed at all, just because of time, or maybe they're considered like taboo or things like that. So I'm hoping that this will be a platform to be able to talk about some of those things. And so one of the first questions I think I had emailed you was about topics you would have liked to learn about or discuss in school that you were not given the opportunity to. So you can just speak freely, honestly, like real talk. It's not a classroom. So I just want to know your thoughts. We can start with that one.
Okay. I want to speak about the dress code and like how sexist it is, how it puts pressures on girls to look a certain way and like pressure to find certain clothes that fit them the way the dress codes require.
Okay, and did something happen or did something spark this thought in your mind, either to you or to your friends, or just something that you observed?
Yeah, so throughout like the year when I have been going into school, both me and my friends have been like called out or dress coded for wearing like outfits that are that are appropriate, nothing that's showing any really revealing body parts. And I got elected president of this school and like of the student council, and I decided that I wanted to be something that I wanted to make a change in, because I know for a while now that all of the girls have been feeling very upset and uncomfortable and just like, yeah, just not good about the dress code.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations. That's a huge honor. So I'm sure you're very excited about that. And I'm very proud of you for using your platform to try and make a change in an area you think that you need to make one. So in terms of I'm guessing from what you're saying that you and your friends have been talking about this is a topic of conversation, but it's a broader issue, it seems like.
Yes. My friends would come up to me and be like, I just got dress coded. I feel so embarrassed. She called me out in front of my entire class, and she was not even my gym teacher. So that felt very not only uncomfortable, but that was embarrassing for me, because everyone was like then drawing attention to me and looking at my clothes to see what I was wearing, to see if it was appropriate or not.
Okay, so maybe if it's not just that the code can change, perhaps the way in which that it's being addressed can certainly be talked about or changed. Okay, so that makes sense. And so I think part of the email I had sent you was asking why you feel, if there's any evidence or research or articles to either back up or support why you think it's important to discuss this particular issue, because we want to remember that, of course, though it's important to you, which is obviously makes it important enough to discuss, how will that potentially impact the greater school community or the school as a whole, or then beyond the school to other schools and other communities?
So I believe that the dress code is not only like unfair to women, but it's also teaching the boys in the school that is okay to sexualize our bodies and like that women are objects. And there are several instances. I know in Florida, there were yearbook pictures taken, and the yearbook lady actually covered up like the girls' midsections when they're like in their chest area, and their outfits were completely appropriate, not even revealing. And that is another example of like when girls have been like sexualized. And I just I feel that the whole point of the dress code, like people assume that it is so that we're in a safe learning environment and so that students are comfortable and not distracted. But from what the girls at school have been dress coded for, they are not distracting. Like my shoulders are not distracting. Other boys from getting bad grades on tests. Nobody is looking at me, especially like the shorts lengths. When I'm sitting down, you cannot see my shorts, like you cannot see my butt. So that is another thing.
How would you feel like it would be more fairly addressed so that it would be more fair all across the board, do you think?
So something like, I know at the high school, it's like no hate words or messages on your clothing. You have to wear clothes. Basically, you have to wear clothes, footwear, and you can't wear your underlayer as your outerwear.
Yeah.
That's basically all it is, and I think that's reasonable because then it's not like separating what the girls can wear and the boys can wear, and it's making it fair to both sexes.
Okay. And what's the dress code for you right now?
Right now it is basically no outfits showing shoulders, any underlayers, like no bras can be shown, not even like a strap. No midsection can be shown. Your shirts have to go waist length. Shorts have to be 6 inches above the knee at a minimum. And I think and then it's also like in gym and stuff, V-necks are not allowed for girls. Like tank tops, not allowed. So I thought that like some things like the no shoulders showing, that should apply to the boys too. But there are so many boys walking around school, like they cut their sleeves off of their sweatshirts. You could see their entire chest hanging out. And I've like actually pulled them aside, asked them, did you get dress coded? They're like, no, nobody said anything to me. They said one boy I'm actually friends with wore something like that, like wore like a muscle shirt, like where you could see his shoulders.
Yeah.
And the teacher actually said, if you were a girl, you'd be dress coded for that. But of course, you're not being dress coded because you're a boy. And yeah.
Would you feel more comfortable if, let's say, the dress code were to stay, but that it was more equally applied to both sexes? Or is it that you think it needs to be changed altogether, or maybe a combination of the two? Like what would be ideal in your head?
Ideally, I think it needs to be like changed altogether, and in that way also apply to both sexes. Like, I think it needs to be a little bit more reasonable. Like some things, like if your private areas are not hanging out, then those should be allowed. Like some girls are taller, some didn't go through their growth spurts yet. The shorts in the stores fit differently, and the shorts that the dress codes are recommending are not sold in the stores. So it's extremely hard for girls for that. So I think that should be changed, the shorts length.
You did mention that earlier about having to find specific clothes that fit the code. Do you find that is that hard, or is that just more of like an extra step that you have to take?
Well, I actually haven't found any clothes that I have a few shirts that like meet the code and stuff, because like it's easier to find like shirts that meet my waist length. They don't sell Bermuda shorts or anything like that for like teenagers in stores. It's more of like, unless biker shorts, but those are kind of worse. Those are very like
fitted.
Yes, very fitted. I don't wear like inappropriate. I wear appropriate clothes for my age. So I've just been wearing my clothes, and my teachers this year have been very lenient with it. So it has been harder for me. Like this year, I know it's going to be more strict. I have not been able to find any clothes that I can wear that would meet the dress code requirements. So but it's also like hot in the summer, and it's hot in like the early, like when you go back to school and stuff. So I don't really know what I can wear.
So moving forward, so obviously I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, so I have a different lens, but I've also been a student. So I definitely have a different lens, and I can understand kind of the administrative side where there have to be certain rules in place because it helps keep things, I guess, controlled to a certain degree, and they're trying to I do believe that ultimately they want what's best for students. I do believe that, but I very much understand what you're saying and where you're coming from also, that maybe the way it's being implemented is not quite fair, or also maybe calling certain students out might make you feel a certain type of way. In fact, might defeat the purpose because it's drawing attention to you for the very thing that you're supposed to not be drawn, like you're not supposed to be drawing attention for. So that seems a little bit contradictory. So I definitely understand what you're saying. So moving forward, what would you want your message to be as you're entering your 8th grade year as a president? And this is definitely a cause. I think you've also started an Instagram page, which I think I follow. So what would you want your message to be moving forward, whether it's to administrators or teachers or just even your classmates?
For the most part, I think the message is that young girls should not be sexualized for their clothing, and boys should be the ones being taught that girls are not objects and shouldn't be looked at as objects.
And how do you think we can do that from your point of view? And I know that's a hard question, but how do you think we do that?
Well, I feel like just showing support and showing that boys are capable of learning. I kind of feel like that boys would not really necessarily treat girls as objects at least at our age, but since there's dress codes implemented, it's kind of saying that they would. It's kind of like drawing attention to the fact. I really think if the dress code didn't happen, or it was more lenient, then the boys would not be like, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
I think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to speak for you. I think what you're trying to say is that it's almost because the rule is there, it draws attention to the fact that it's even an issue. Wouldn't have even been a thought maybe to them, was it not a rule? Like if the rule wasn't there, maybe they wouldn't think about it. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's definitely, so of course you said support and talking and teaching and making boys aware. What about what girls can do too? What can girls also do to change this kind of conversation?
Well, I kind of have been doing this too. Like I've been starting the Instagram page, as you said. But I feel like girls can show that they can be responsible with their clothing, and that they know how to be modest without being told what they can and can't wear. If they choose to wear that clothing, then their bodies stand out in that way, and that is their choice. So they're basically like drawing attention to themselves. But then the girls who wear like the modest clothing.
What do you think we could say to, so I'm thinking about, you mentioned the high school dress code and how like you're not supposed to wear anything offensive, understandably. So how do you, why do you think that's different than like somebody who might dress a certain way, maybe revealing like shoulders or the midriff or whatever it might be? Do you think that could potentially be offensive to someone, or do you think that that's not the same thing?
I feel like that's not the same thing, because if someone said a terrible word, if it said a terrible word on their clothing, for example, but if someone's shoulders are showing, if it's offensive to someone because of maybe religion, maybe they want to cover up, it's different if someone else is doing it versus like it's not really targeted at a certain person. So if it's not really targeted at a certain person or a certain group of people, then I don't think it is the same thing or should be categorized as the same thing.
Okay. I think something that a lot of people might say or feel in response to this is also, well, what's the limit? Where's the line? So if somebody, just for argument's sake, wanted to come to school wearing barely anything, where do you draw the line with that? Or would you say that then that's still okay?
Well, personally, I feel that the dress code should be like it shouldn't be like I'm walking through the hallway checking the length of your shorts type thing. It should just be like, as long as your butt is not hanging out, like you can't see like the line that leads to your butt, then I think that should be okay. And like shirts that at least like touch your shorts when you're standing straight, those should be okay. Because like if you raise your hand, you put it back down, that's 1 second your stomach is showing. In tank tops, that is a big thing. I think shoulders are not distracting, and girls get hot just as boys do in the weather.
Yeah.
And that is like they get sweaty, and that's like BO and stuff, even with deodorant.
Oh, I know all about the video.
That should be allowed. And like regarding like the underlayers, like bras and stuff, I feel as long as like if a strap is hanging out, that's not a big deal. As long as the padding of the bra isn't like showing majorly or hanging out, that should be okay, because there's nothing like inappropriate if like your bra strap is hanging out, like just like a tiny bit, like it's under your shirt or something. Like I've had a teacher come up to me and put my shirt over my bra strap.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
That made me feel that I was actually really upset over that, because it was in front of the entire class. I was sitting in the front row. She walked all the way up to me, put my shirt over my bra strap, and then that brought attention to me, and everybody was staring.
Okay.
And I was not only like embarrassed over that, but I was really offended that another female teacher would do something like that. Like I feel like females should be like standing by
one another.
Yeah, one another and helping each other in causes that like this.
Your age is a part of this, because I think certain topics might be sensitive, or it may not be as age appropriate because different people have different comfort levels at that age. But generally, I can totally understand that you feeling a certain type of way. And I think the approach to these things can make a big difference for sure. So I think that this is, I'm guessing, not something that you get to touch on in your classrooms.
Not at all. I've been doing things outside of school to touch on it, but in classrooms, like there's nothing really the teachers can do about it, even if we talk about it or something.
Okay. So how do you feel this could be included, or does it need to be included in classroom discussions, curriculum, things like that?
Maybe in health class. So some of that time could be focused on teaching boys how to not look at women, and how appropriate, like some things are appropriate, some things aren't. And even the girls being taught like how to look at the boys. I know that it's not really known to be like that, but there are still like girls who go around like judging how boys look too, or the clothes that they wear, stuff like that.
So basically teaching respect.
Yes.
And how to look at each other and treat each other.
Yes.
Very fair. And so the Instagram page, what's the name of it? The handle?
It's changed the code, and there's underscores in between change and then after code.
Okay, and I believe you either already did or going to be talking to the Board of Education?
Yes, I wrote, me and the vice president of the middle school, we wrote up a presentation for the Board of Ed. They did not present it yet, but that is going to hopefully be presented.
Okay, will you let me know when that happens, or like what comes of that? Because that would be great. I would love to know what happens.
Okay, yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time. This was a great conversation. And whatever it is that you're believing, and you're sticking by it and standing up for it, and that is incredible. And I'm super proud of you for that. Not at all surprised, but very, very proud. I'm so happy that you chose to do this, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sadie.
Bye.